Wagwan. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Jokofu Podcast Season 2 episode. Kitu najua ni tunakaribia episode 50, which is really interesting actually. Yeah, so today I have professionals. Tumeongeza professionals. It's very professional. So unfortunate I don't have a shirt, but it's very professional, I assure you. On my near right, niko na daktari. Yeah. Otherwise, welcome back to Jokofu. We have welcome back Dr. Gladwell.
Fancy.
And then tumeongeza two new doctors that are going to introduce themselves briefly. So before tuanze, maybe you can just tell us your names and then how your weeks have been. Yeah. As we start. Daktari, please.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you for hosting me in your show. My name is Irine Tracy, and that's my work name. I'm a registered nutritionist and a practicing one as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me back. My name is Gladwel Chepkoech. I'm a practicing counseling psychologist or psychotherapist. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having me. My first podcast. I'm Brian Kipkoech Mkale. You have to say all the three names, sir. I'm a clinical physiotherapist. That means I work clinically, so I work in hospitals. Yes, there are different kind of physios. Kuna sport physios, kuna geriatric physios. I'm a clinical physio. Thank you.
Oh, asante Sarah. Tukianza kwanza ningependa tu nashukuru for accepting our invitation and glad for being very resourceful in this episode. So this is very knowledgeable. Hata sidhani kama kuna nguvu ya jokes. But interestingly, unajua mambo ya Mungu ni mengi. Unaona kama mimi nikiwa mtoi, I've always wanted to be a doctor. Ended up being not a patient but supporting the doctors. But at least today I get an opportunity to sit down with the doctors to discuss a few things. I think maybe ndo maana naitwa mganga. Called mganga, like MGH. Yeah. So how do we start? Tuanze na daktari hapa karibu na mimi. Daktari, interestingly is mi hupenda wasi wengi wanasema ni vyakula vya wazee, but the very healthy foods. Like for instance, mi utanipata nimepika maybe ugali ya brown ama ugali ya kisiagi lately, ama nimekula mihogo, nimekula nazi. Maybe tunaweza anza hapo. You can share and tell us how beneficial that food is, ama how really.
Okay, I get you. Asante sana mganga. That's a very interesting question, and I must say, currently we are having many cases of what we call lifestyle diseases, and they have been attributed, yani imesemwa inaletwa kulingana na chakula ambayo tunakula currently, which are actually a shift from what we can say chakula ya wazee. What we can say actually the produce from the farms, but right now we've shifted to what we call the products, the processed foods and other things which are actually predisposing us to what we call the lifestyle diseases, among them the diabetes, hypertension, and even some cancers and other disorders, including obesity. Obesity on its own is also a condition, and these diseases are attributed to these processed foods. And for sure, we need to start going back to those traditional ways, because the produce that we have from our farms, what we call the whole foods and the fresh foods, are nutritious, and they are used in our bodies in a manner that is not overworking us. It's only sufficient for our well-being without putting us at risk of developing these diseases, which are these diseases developed through very complicated mechanisms that I won't delve into so much today. But let's get to know that whatever we are eating currently is putting us at risk to these diseases. And yet we still have those options. We still have the produce from our farms. But I think due to lifestyle, we want the quick bites. We want to eat as we go. So we don't want to go back and cook, but we want food which have been processed, ready to eat. And these are actually like we are waiting for an explosion of even worse conditions attributed to these ready-to-eat foods. Thank you.
Itagusa wengi. Umesikia amesema processed foods. There are two things you've talked about, daktari. Umesema you've talked about obesity
Yes.
and you've talked about processed foods. So in the obesity, kuna deni niliambiwa there's skinny obese. Is that a thing really? Like,
Yeah.
Neza kwa unakaa mwembamba, you think I'm fit but I'm actually obese.
Of course.
Then what is obese?
Definitely. Okay, when you talk of obesity, someone is overweight plus your weight is beyond the normal weight, but in a very worse manner. Let me say that. Because we come from normal overweight, then we go to obesity. Obesity, therefore, is whereby you've deposited excess fats as more than what our body requires. Then can make you look big. Yes, we can weigh you and we say you are above the normal weight. But now there is one which you've mentioned. We can still be having excess fat without even looking overweight. Depending on what we have deposited in our body. We have people who are small, maybe like me. But if you check, depending on what they have been feeding on, they are still at risk of developing these diseases because still they have deposited fats. We can say around the organs in the body, and not necessarily something we can do by eye testing or even weighing them on a scale.
Daktari, lakini mimi daktari naweza kuwa na mafuta excess ya what?
It's likely someone who's small like myself and you, until we can check. We do some blood tests. We even do what we call the dietary history. We try to understand what you've been feeding on and how has your lifestyle been in terms of the physical activity. We even when you talk of the obesity as well, apart from the fact that it comes due to inactivity, poor physical activity and poor dietary intake, it can also be caused by what we call genetics. So there's a part in nutrition which we are still exploring, what we call nutrigenomics. I know you guys can Google and read on it. Nutrigenomics, there's the impact of our genes in development of obesity and even the fat thin guys like myself and you. Thank you.
So then when you come to the processed foods,
Yes.
Juzi nimeanza kushindwa kula mkate. Is bread a good thing? Because when they now come to processed foods, kuna processed foods like there's the baked ones and the deep fried ones. Maybe could you tell us if there's any danger along those lines?
Okay, processed foods are all processed, whether it's bread, whether it's baked cakes or mandazis, they are all processed. I mentioned in the beginning that we have the produce, the natural foods. Those ones are wholesome. You know, during processing of these foods, there are some nutrients that we lose along the way. And even worse, there are some things that we add during processing. Now, we cannot run away from the fact that we still feed on this food, but how much are we feeding on them? So when you talk of bread, yes, I'm not saying bread is bad or good, but how moderately are we consuming this food in relation to our even daily activities? Is it helping us, are the activities we are involved in helping us to gain what we call adequate physical activity enough to, let me say, to burn the amount of energy that we have gotten from processed foods, which most of the time is excess. You know, the main challenge with processed food is that you eat a lot. You tend to eat a lot. That gives you excess energy in your body that you don't require. Then you start depositing now that excess energy as fat and other things, and then you develop the obesity and what you call even fatty liver disease. That is something else that leads to the issue of diabetes now. We can go further in future. Thank you. Yeah.
That's excellent. So so now we've covered on what are the best practices for eating food. What are the best foods to eat? Then a question will now come to you, Daktari. Someone like me, occasionally, okay, that's like once a week, you do go for runs because I was told there's skinny obese. But most of the runs that I do are endurance-based running.
So hiyo inakuja kwa fitness. So with fitness does not necessarily mean lazima you bulk, uko na cubes. You have to be conditioned well. No. And simple things in life lenye unafanya kila siku ndio inakuambia kama you are okay ama you're not okay. Unaenda 2 flights of stairs unapata umehema, inaonekana you're not fit, your endurance is low. So for healthcare, tuko na baba yetu mkubwa ni World Health Organization. So they have their own guidelines for exercises. So for adults, you have to be in a week, not in a day. In a week is between 150 to 500 minutes in a week. So kufanya average is around 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, which is sufficient enough for you kukua fit. Does not necessarily mean lazima uende gym 3, 4, 5 days a week. In fact, it's even not advised uende gym 7 days a week. Your body inahitaji time ya ku recover. Even the walking that you are saying, unaweza walk, yes, every day, like uko intentional, unaamka asubuhi, you walk all the way, you do some distance, it's good, but you should also give your time to recover, your body time to recover. So for exercises, inaenda hand in hand na nutrition. You cannot be doing this and ignoring the other. Huwezi pata the results that you want. So back to conditioning, mwili inahitaji pia ukisema conditioning, like systems in your body, you have systems in your body. For exercises you need 2. Actually it's more than 2, but the 2 more important ones is the respiratory system, vile unapumua, and your heart. So hata mtu mwenye anaanza fitness journey, I usually advise them ende ufanye vitu kama aerobics. Reason being, you are using your own weight, something you have been with every day, kila siku. Mwili yako ni yako kila siku. So mtu akienda gym unapata mtu anajisukuma, amefika day 1 anataka kupiga weights, day 2 anataka kupiga weights. Huyo mtu hawezi maliza siku 2-3, anamuona mwili but because your instructor ako very enthusiastic, anakwambia no, hiyo ni kawaida. So you do that for a week, unapata you are even more demoralized. So me ask people, you go ingia aerobics if you can. Na aerobics does not mean unaenda unapata watu 10, unaanza siku day 1 unataka ukaa nao hadi mwisho. Unafika mahali unasikia you are excited, unatulia. The next day we go. Ni consistency tu, pole na nutrition. Yeah.
Okay. So is there such a thing like, can someone, mtu anaweza kuwa ameunga excess?
Unajua kila mtu akuna, for fitness now kila mtu akuna goals zake. In fact for gym yenye mtu mwenye anajua what you want, day 1 ukifika kwa gym anakuambia what do you want to achieve. So ukifika pale, mimi nikiona kama mimi nasema naona weight kidogo imepanda, nataka ku reduce. So unaikuwa regime tofauti. Kuna mtu anaenda pale anasema nasikia December wanakuja recruit watu, nafaa niko na endurance. So unaona unafaa, kila mtu ako different. So everyone anafaa kuwa na tailor made regime yake, ndio pia is discourage, alafu pia you achieve whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So now for Gladwell, as a psychotherapist, I'll be interested to understand, because psychotherapy isn't something that we can see. We can only see the effects of it. But now for the physiotherapy, it's something I can see. I can see I need to gain mass or something. For health, I need to maybe eat some kind of meal so that I look fit. How do the 3 come to fuse together and work together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, psychotherapy, psychology, we are concerned about how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. And so for you to do all those 3, you first need to be. And being is what they've said. Your nutrition takes care of how you feel physically, in terms of, do you feel strong? Do you feel do you find yourself able to, walk around, just look healthy? Let me put it that way. And that takes what you eat. We are basically what we eat. So ukikula poa, possibly you will be looking and feeling like you are actually well and strong enough to handle any pressures, anything that you need to do. And then now you find for physical health, how you look at yourself comes a lot from maybe your physical being, how your physique looks like, in terms of, as you said, fitness is quite wide. It's very individual. So you'll find yourself maybe looking fit, but you might not feel fit. Then you might need to ask yourself questions. Now, those 2 make you who you are. And when we are coming in as a psychologist or looking now into how you think, feel, and behave, we are looking into those areas of your life. Actually, in our intervention, whenever someone is in psychological distress, for instance, and we are attending to them, the main things we ask is, are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping at all? Are you eating at all? Those are very primary, because at the end of the day, for this person to just be who they are, or just even be present in that moment, what they are eating and how they are sleeping, are they able to move around? That's another one. Like now the physical, are they able to move from place to place? Ama they are held immobile in sick bed and all that. That determines now to tell us psychologically there could be some distress, and it can be explained by how you're behaving in those particular areas of eating, sleeping, moving around. Are you cheerful? Now your mood, how do you look like in terms of mood? So basically it's like a kind of, we are building on one thing, but all these are the parts that we are working on. And so we all come together now at the end of the day to investigate, are these areas all okay? Yes.
Interesting. So back again to you, Daktari. I don't know if there's research that has been done along these lines, but my question will be, would we say that our forefathers as Africans were stronger or more resilient to ailments or illnesses than we are right now?
Yeah, it's true. We could say so. I may need to confirm the researches that have been published, but even from the interactions that we had with them, these are the people you would not find them very sick, like they are sick now, they are sleeping in the house. You are going to visit them because they are sick in there, you are going to feel them on the bed. Hawa watu wako wanakuwa wagonjwa ile serious. Maybe ile homa kidogo and they are okay. And yeah, it boils down to the diet as well. When even we look at the young people, the level of immunity is very low. Let's talk of the kids and the young boys and girls. Because number one, the issue of processed foods is still one thing. Because when you process food, you are reducing its nutrient value, including the nutrients that should give immunity. Come even to snacking among the kids. Whatever we take to the kids as snacks, you find someone taking a cake, a biscuit, even during mid-morning snack, you serve cakes and other things. We can also are empty foods, let me say empty nutrients. But now you see we can adopt a way where we serve fruits, we serve them, even we cook meat for them. Kitambo watu walikula nyama. Meat has a good source of what we call zinc. Zinc is part of immunity nutrients. Let me say that. And of course for other developmental issues among these kids. So ukweli kitambo watu hawakuwa wanagonjeka haraka. Na ilichangiwa na chakula walikuwa wanakula, iko na nutrients yenye inawasaidia kuzuia magonjwa. And like currently, we snack on things which are not even providing protection against diseases in our bodies. For instance, look at the COVID period. Vile watu waligonjeka wakasema mkunywe ndimu, mkunywe hizo vitu zingine. So these are things we don't eat in a normal day. We don't eat oranges anymore. So tunakula tu maswiti, watoto maswiti, watu wazima sweets, and we say, skari imeenda chini, wacha nikule biscuit. But actually it's affecting our immunity and we are predisposed to even the mildest kind of flu. Asante.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned about meat. Na kuna online kuna some groups of people you'll see wenye wanakula only animal products na kuna wenye wanakula only plant products.
Yeah.
Can we do like a side by side comparison in terms of their health maybe?
Of course. Many research has been done on the same. Na ni ukweli kulingana na beliefs yao ama culture yao, or even the body needs. There are people who are allergic to meat and other products like eggs. So they tend to move to the vegetarian kind of diet. So for as long as these people can adhere to dietary, okay, that's where we come in as nutritionists. If someone cannot eat meat for whatever reason, whether it's religion, whether it's culture, whether it's just amependa tu asikule nyama, so we come in and advise them what other options do they have, because yes, meat has some nutrients that beans, which are the proteins from animal of beans or ndengu, which are proteins from the plant sources. Yes, they may lack some nutrients which they could have gotten from meat. So then we come in and advise them on other options. Like we have other plant products that are almost like meat. So we advise them, if it's available, they need to take them. If need be, when we assess you and we find that you are a vegetarian and you look like you are deficient of 1 or 2 nutrients which you would have gotten from it, especially iron deficiency and what we call folic acid, tunakupatia hata supplements. We monitor, we prescribe and monitor how you consume those supplements to make sure you are meeting your requirements for those nutrients within that feeding plan that you have preferred to undertake.
Okay. So there's no really like any group of the two that will be stronger than the other.
I don't think so. So long as they're able to meet their requirements from other sources, other alternative sources, then
Okay.
they are fine. They are good to go. No, there will be no different tuseme huyu amekula nyama saa ako strong kushinda ule hajakula nyama. Sidhani kuna shida sana pale. Because in nutrition, we need to take care. We take care of someone within their lifestyle, their beliefs. We consider the culture, the beliefs, any kind of affiliation, and see how to help them within that aspect. We don't need to radicalize them to fit a certain plan that we think it is good for them. No, we do what we call personalized nutrition, individual-based care.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Daktari, maybe I can add in something on supplements. You mentioned them along the way. Yeah. What is the guidelines on committing to taking supplements? You've mentioned when you're lacking in dietary, like the nutritional needs that you're having are not being met by your diet.
Yeah.
Now, what else informs someone being put on supplements? Can we buy them over the counter? We need to see you first.
Okay, I must mention that there's an explosion of supplements.
Yeah.
Every corner, everywhere, everybody from everywhere is promoting 1 or 2 supplements. And we are what do I say? How we have been eating is even making us culpable to these traps. So we want to say, now there's a supplement because now I've been eating chips and everything. Now there's something I'm lacking. I just need 1 tablet to meet 1 or 2 things that I have been missing. From a long time you have not been feeding well, and then you realize, ni kama nina lucky kitu. Like young people are saying, I want a supplement for my hair and everything. But for real, that should not be the case. This is something you are taking into your body, the temple of God, and it's like a drug. Let me say it the same. So some supplements can have side effects. You can't compare supplements with food. So they'll have side effects on you, and they may be managing, yes, what you want it to manage, but it may be causing another problem in any other part of the body. So I must mention that, yes, currently we are still struggling to regulate the use of supplements, even as a country, Kenya. But from the nutrition point of view, kindly take your supplements only if it is prescribed. When you come and we assess you and there is a deficiency, we do a blood test or any other thing, or we observe you and we say we have this deficiency, and if at all dietary intervention haijafanya kazi, tunakupatia kwanza counseling, ukule chakula 1, 2, 3. Kama tunaona haijafanya kazi for some reason, then now we can say use this supplement we prescribe. So it's not okay to just go and buy or to just eat any supplement that comes your way. We assess you, we prescribe, then we monitor how you are responding, and then we tell you when to stop. Kuna supplements unakunywa hadi 5 liters. Okay, like you are taking a lot of it, and by the end of the day, it may destroy some organs like your kidney or even your liver. So it becomes a bigger problem. Thank you.
But some supplements are not all that bad.
Yeah.
Kuna zile supplements tu zinahitaji they complemented the treatment. Time ya COVID, we used to use vitamin C, ascorbic acid. That's a supplement. Because your body iko chini, you need to supplement your vitamins.
Yeah, most definitely, daktari.
Yeah.
You use it when there is a need, and it has been assessed that need is there. So you are given a proportion.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are really right.
The take home is don't go and prescribe.
Don't just keep prescribing for yourself and even for your own kids without having that definite need as guided by the health professional. Yes.
Actually, it happens more for guys when you're anaenda gym, for instance. Unasema I need to supplement with this thing, so anaenda gym for that reason. I don't know. Is it?
Are they related?
Okay, now nilikuwa najua unakuja hapo.
Sasa mimi
Kwa hizo supplement za gym,
unaulizwa hiyo swali.
mostly watu wanatumia wakati they want to bulk. So they want to keep muscular. They help, zinasaidia. So ukienda gym kuna zile fuels unatumianga wakati wa gym depending on what you are doing. So with gym, like I said, fitness goals ina depend. Kama unaenda huko ku burn fat, I don't think you need any supplements. So kama you want to cut weight, the kind of exercise you need inaitwa low intensity, long duration. Unapata umekwa aerobics for like 30 minutes, umepanda treadmill for like 30 minutes. For these guys, they need them because wanainua weights. So they need something to boost the muscle. Yeah. So it's not bad. Research has been done, it's not bad. But pia, depending on your body as well. Ukiwa na any other underlying conditions, you proceed with caution. So if you need to bulk and you need to use the supplements, ni mzuri kuwa na a trainer or a nutritionist ama a doctor who's going to monitor you as you go on your journey. Because you cannot tell someone who wants to do that. Unajua kuna wale watu wanaitwa gym rats. So wasipoenda gym hiyo siku wanasikia something is amiss. Yeah. So supplements are not all that bad, but ni mzuri you approach with caution. Yeah. So just most of them zinaweza cause other effects. Even if you look at the labels, pale nyuma ukiangalia hizo ziko na hizo precautions. It can cause 1, 2 or 3 things. Mostly the organs, the kidneys, the liver, and the legs.
Yeah, and I think it's mostly used even among the athletes. But if you see the athletes, they are training under a team.
Yeah.
They have doctors, nutritionists, physiotherapists. Everybody. So they are there to help them, and whenever they are using supplements, they are being monitored.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we've talked about something about balance in the body, like what you're taking in. And I think this is where Dr. you can come in with, earlier on you told me it's called minerals, not electrolytes, but you can still tell us what that is. Like, can you take too much of one of them and imbalance the rest? Of course, in terms of now what you will call it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's true. When you come to hospital, we call them electrolytes. But most of the time, nutritionally speaking, in wellness and education, we call them minerals, like the calcium, the ions. So we have major and minor minerals and such like things. So for minerals, it's not very easy to have excess. I'm looking for a simpler term. It's not very easy to have excess from food. It is very easy to overdose. Let me use that term for ease of understanding. When you are using supplements, like you can take supplements and you get excess of calcium, and you get excess calcium in the body, and it can cause hardening of some parts in the body that we don't want them to harden, causing serious problems. But so what I'm saying is, it is possible to have excess, but if you are supplementing. But through our usual diet, day-to-day intake, it's very rare to have intoxication of minerals, because our body excretes through the kidneys, and it balances itself off. However, when we have impaired health, like in hypertension, mwili tu inakataa kuregulate hizi vitu, so unapata sodium iko chini, potassium iko juu, what we call electrolyte imbalance now. So when you come to the hospital, vile tunaongea sahi, what you should do changes. So unaweza kuwa umeambiwa usikule chumvi mingi, and nafika point when you are sick, the first thing we do is give you salt, not necessarily table salt, maybe in terms of a drug. Let me use it as a drug to balance that when your body now has some defect in terms of sicknesses and other problems. So when it comes to clinical nutrition, some things change. So kuna siku utaambiwa kula sasa ndizi iko na potassium mingi juu potassium yako imeenda chini. Labda wakati mwingine tunasema usikule ndizi mingi itakuongezea kilo, because for sure a lot of fruits also can add to weight. That's something for discussion maybe another time. So things keep changing from minerals to electrolyte imbalance, as we balance between nutrition for health and nutrition for healing, for curative and preventive nutrition. Thank you so much.
Maybe before we move on, najua we've had sodium, potassium, and a lot of other metals, and we're wondering, ziko kwa mwili yangu? Please tell us.
Ziko kwa mwili is a role they play in the body. Yeah, we have now. Hapo sasa itakuwa darasa ya 3 months. Wacha tu niseme hivi. Hizi minerals zote ziko kwa mwili yetu na iko na role kadhaa zenye ni muhimu. Like potassium and sodium zinatumika sana hata kwa moyo kupiga vizuri. What we call sodium potassium pump. Niko sure watu wanatusikiza wamefanya biology. Hapo ndio ina apply. Na hizi nutrients tunazipata kwa chakula. Like iron, it is also a mineral found in food. Gets into our body and helps us in building the blood. It helps us in so many other things. And the needs per person as you grow keep changing. Like iron needs are needed much by the women and girls of reproductive age because they keep on losing blood. Okay, like for gentlemen also, and also adolescents, they need calcium. Their bones need to get stronger and stronger as they grow. So hizi ni vitu ziko kwa mwili. Na sitaki niseme roles ya kila moja ya hizi nutrients, but those are the key highlights. We have other minerals like zinc in immunity and even other developmental of reproductive organs. And I think nasisitiza sana iron because kwa wanaume hata sahi tuko na cases ya low iron, what you call anemia in men and boys because wamejilenga sana. Let me say so. Hata kukula dawa ya minyoo, unajua minyoo ndio inanyonya damu. Kukula dawa ya minyoo wanaume ni ngumu sana kufanya hivyo. So we keep on losing nutrients even through foreign animals like worms in our bodies, you know. So these are things we need to take heed of. So unaona hata how we advise the kids to be fed, how the kids should be fed is different from how we advise men on their feeding or on their nutrition. So it's very important for everyone to know how much nutrients or which minerals are more important to me at this age. At what age is calcium more important than other nutrients? Then unasisitiza hapo sana wakati hata unaambia mtu chakula ambayo anafaa kukula. Asante.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Really, I'd shoot one question to you, sir. If we go back to the African setting, a typical African setting is where, like kitambo kabisa, even when people used not to wear shoes, there's something that nasikia watu wakisema grounding. I don't know, maybe you can talk about that. I don't know if it's along your field or daktari's field, I'm not sure whose, but the grounding where I don't know, you gain minerals from just having contact with the ground or something like that. I don't know if that is true even, but I've heard that.
The science of it.
Yeah.
Or the science part.
Yeah.
Honestly, sijasikia. Sijasikia. What I can say about times back then. Naweza kupatia story nilipewa, nilikuwa kwa matatu and then I heard from guys. I was going to Nairobi through Bomet. So someone asked, mbona Tenwek inaitwa Tenwek? So apparently back in the day, Tenwek used to be the hospital and guys used to come from Nairobi to Tenwek. So they used to take 10 weeks walking. So people, environment wakasikia 10 weeks to get to the hospital.
Okay.
So wakaita Tenwek. So from that story in itself, inakwambia watu walikuwa wanatembea for so long. So as you walk for that long, first of all, your bones become stronger because bones respond to stress, to loading. So if you're walking for that long, for 10 weeks, which means your bones, by the time, over the period of the year, your bones will become stronger. Calcium inakuwa deposited more, your bones will become strong. Ukichukua saizi bone ya mtu at this time na wa kitambo, compare, the density wa kitambo iko more heavier.
Okay.
And the same translate to the muscles, the same translate to the heart. Iko more condition because you're more active. The same translates to your lungs.
How do you increase density then?
Density.
Yeah, bone density.
Activity. Shule ilikuwa inaitwa Wolff's Law. So basically, bone responds to stress. Stress doesn't mean your stress yako, ni your loading. So when you do activities zenye naika more loading to the bones, inakuwa more strong. So na gain more density. On top of that, inakuja back to nutrition. Always gain density. Bones inabuilt by calcium. So you cannot get density kama you don't have enough calcium in the body. So your blood inafaa iko na calcium enough to go and deposit in the bones. Alternatively, you lose that. So if you uko inactive ama you are bedridden, that's why unaona our patients who are unfortunate walikuwa na spinal cord injury, they stay, after a while una notice like their muscles become smaller, their bones become smaller. That's why unaona wakiletwa therapy, tunangangana at least wasimame. so that they don't lose on the calcium and on the bone, because mwili inasikia inaona hii calcium iko kwa mifupa haitumiki, wanaenda kuna cells ziko kwa mwili zinafanya hiyo kazi 247, inaitwa osteoclast, osteoblast. So clast inaenda inatoa hizo calcium inarudisha kwa damu itumike kwingine, unaona. But if you walk a lot, you do that, you now maintain, so you unaweka stress. So kama umeenda when mtu kuhike, you hike often, mwili naona we need a lot of calcium in this ball, so it goes to your body, and if you are eating well, unapata hizo calcium inaenda back to the bones, your muscles become stronger, your heart. Mtu mwenye ako very fit hata akipanda stairs amwezi panda naye, because yeye condition yake iko juu, the lungs iko sawa. Wewe ukifika juu stairs ushahema, unapata msumzamira aski. All this comes with simple exercises. People wanakuwa wame overcomplicate. Si lazima uende gym spend an hour there. Wewe umeenda hapo uko na subscription, ukikaa ikisema niko Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, uambiwe pumzika Friday, Saturday, urudi maybe it's Sunday, una feel your subscription yangu lazima niende. Unaona?
Yeah.
So it's all about thinking, alafu small signs kama hiyo.
So in addition to calcium, we have also what you call vitamin D, ndio inasaidia calcium niseme ifanye kazi vizuri kwa mwili. So you see also, even currently we are losing that bone strength because hatuoti jua, we are just indoors. Umeshika tu simu asubuhi, umekaa hapo, umekunywa chai, labda mtu amekusongesha kikombe, unashinda kwa simu, you don't get to even get the sunlight, which is helps you to metabolize vitamin D, let me say, then work together with calcium to strengthen your bones. So maybe about calcium, we need to take also milk and milk products like yogurts. Of course, it's processed, but it's a good source of calcium. And even omena. Omena is the cheapest. And I think
You ambia very good. Nimeishi nikiambia
it's okay. I say seafoods. Nimesema omena juu ni kitu cheap. You can actually eat it daily and get adequate amount of calcium, especially for those who don't love milk. Asante.
Umesema milk daktari. Before nikurudishe kwa the grounding part, kuna watu wanasema hao ni lactose intolerant. Is there such a thing? Juu me, in my understanding, ni mtu yeye akizaliwa anazaliwa kama ana suckle already.
Oh yeah.
Then nikiomoka na kwa lactose intolerant. I don't know how that happens. Juu sisi geto hatuko na lactose. Mimi sijaisikia mtu ako lactose intolerant.
Very good.
Tuko tunaiba maziwa, like it's something you can still. Milk is sweet. So I don't get the part where like all of a sudden nasikia lactose intolerant. Yeah.
Okay, when you talk of lactose intolerance, most of the main milk that have that lactose is cow's milk. So when you talk of the kids not having wanna suckle their mothers and have no problem, is because the combustion of breast milk allows them to metabolize it in the right manner. That's why they have no problem with breast milk. It has different combustion as from the cow's milk. So lactose intolerance exists. There are people who are just born because of some genetic change, they cannot tolerate the lactose. It's a sugar in milk. So that's why you find in the shelves we have lactose-free milk. So they remove that part of lactose and makes it comfortable for the lactose intolerant guys to consume that milk.
But daktari, hii kitu ya lactose intolerance ilikuwa 10 years ago.
Yeah, it must have existed.
20, but I mean it's people like 5 years ago, 3, I don't know.
I am not sure whether it existed, but it exists, and it affects some. I don't know what % of people, but it's there, and we have clients who have such a problem, and we also give them options to get calcium without having to double themselves so much with milk, but also we can advise them to use the lactose-free products moderately.
So it's a thing.
Yeah, lactose is specific to cow's milk, which most of the time is cow's milk because goat has less of that. I think it's the milk composition. They really vary. Camel's milk is different from goat, from cow, from the human being's milk. Okay.
Yeah.
So what about the grounding parts? Is there anything like, can we gain any, ilikuwa inaitwaje hiyo kitu Ray? There's something that is, do you touch the ground, or like when your feet touch
I think it's more on psychotherapy part.
What do you call it? Is coming my way?
Yes, it's more on psychotherapy. Mhm. No.
Or grounding.
Yeah.
Or ya stima.
No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. See nutrients. See nutrients.
Also, it's a part of ni kitu nimeona inatumika on healing.
Yes.
As part of psychotherapy.
Yes.
And I think it works. She
Yeah.
can tell us more.
So
Really cool.
maybe the part I'll bring back to you is, do we gain anything from through our
No, we don't. Oh, yeah, of course, through the sunlight. I've just mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, we can gain through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I must also mention that you can still gain bad things through your skin. Okay. You can still gain radiations through the skin, through the things we even zile tunajipodoa naso, we take them in through our skin. So we have many things that we can gain, but now the issue of grounding, we are very particular. She'll tell us you cannot just ground, start walking anywhere because of the many problems that we can get, even what do you call some pathogens ama vitu inaweza cause mashida zinapita kwa skin ya miguu zetu. That's why even in school going children right now, there is no kid who is allowed to go to school without shoes because the environment has been polluted so much that nothing is safe. Wherever you are stepping on may be a health hazard on your side. Thank you.
Nimekumbuka wazee tulikuwa in primary. Okay, hatukuwa na jigas shule yetu. I don't know, like ni wazungu tu. Wazungu they are just maybe they were too kind. Mshaletewa viatu. Sijui kama mletiwaga viatu. Mshaletewa viatu. Mshaletewa viatu ziko zimeandikwa Toms hapa nyuma.
You are still young. In our time, we used to go to school without shoes.
So hiyo time yetu, like, we had shoes but wali insist. So we're like, okay,
Let's say too.
let me.
You're
And then
on.
they said that the shoes took out number, like the shoes were sort of treated for jiggers or something like that. Yeah.
Actually, Bata does that thing.
Those ilikuwa
Did have 3 shoes.
so it was more or less like a rubber shoe. Ni kama ngoma, but now their version was called Toms.
Oh yeah. Okay. It makes
So
a lot of sense.
yeah.
It's interesting.
So there was that.
So for grounding, actually it's a technique in relaxation. And I think it goes a lot of ways, but basically come to think of it, possibly that term was borrowed from the fact that you have to connect to the ground. Just thinking on my my feet. And it's a way of finding relaxation specifically in nature. Like Daktari has said, you can't just walk anywhere and be like, I'm grounding, or I'm connecting with nature and all that. Usually it's very specific to, possibly you might need to check your hygiene first of all, that it's a clean environment, and then to, now the aim of it would go a long way, you knowing why you're doing that. And so there is usually what we call nature therapy. Like our connectedness to nature plays a big role in our psychological health or well-being. And so how we interact with the surrounding that is, within our proximities goes a long way in relaxing our brains. So our brain chemical composition, I'm not sure if that's the complete term, but like the brain chemicals that we have tend to find a balance in a way. But sometimes when we are under too much stress, some of those chemicals are off balance. That's when now sometimes we introduce prescriptions, which is a whole other conversation, or we can encourage you to find that way back to balance through nutrition, through exercise, and also through the relaxation technique. So that's why I said all three of us they all come together somehow. And so for grounding specifically, it's just you connecting to nature, and sometimes possibly a lot of research still needs to be done, or I may need to do my own personal further study. But like grounding, you can choose to remove your shoes actually and walk on the ground. Then that would now be your own commitment to it. But I would say scientifically, I can't conclusively say that has, it has to be umetoa viatu, but interacting with nature does play a big role in psychological health. We even have what you call forest bathing. It's like you just walk into the forest, probably off grid, like no internet, no phone, and you just walk through. It has a great effect on how you relax, and you will even feel it. I think even as I talk, I can almost take you there psychologically. Imagine being in nature and you have no pressure of people talking, cars moving, being watchful of how you're moving. You're just moving within the natural environment. It has a big impact on how you relax. You can even feel yourself relax. The air you're breathing in is very clean and fresh. It has a big impact on your brain chemicals, basically, and that, of course, translates to your general health. So I'd say possibly the term grounding is borrowed in that, but mostly for us, we use it in relaxation techniques. Yes.
Mi nilikuwa ati na ground kwa nyumba pa tiles nikaambiwa niache ufala. Yeah, daktari here needs to rush, or she's still on assignment. But daktari, before I let you go, this one is really personal to me. I use seed oil. No, I used to use seed oil. Now I use canola.
What is seed oil?
With garlic.
For cooking.
Yeah, what is seed oil? Which seed oil is that?
Nilikuwa natumia mafuta mahindi, nikakuja nikatumia mafuta gani?
Sunflower, yeah.
Bado
Sunflower.
nikatumia sunflower. Sasa natumia canola, vegetable oil.
Okay.
Maybe you can tell us.
Some people talk about Elianto. They say it's the deal at the
It's really
Nilitumia hizo zote. So and then nakumbuka there's a time Kiela nakuja ananiambia, Buda, tuachane na Elianto sahi. Tuachane na hii mafuta ya mahindi. I'm supposed to mention that. Tuachane na hii mafuta ya mahindi, tukuje mafuta ya sunflower. Inaweza, ni fiti. Na mingi, alibako momentum like sunflower, but this is natural. But would you recommend? But okay, sahi naambiwa nitumie mafuta ya nini inaitwa talo. Hii mafuta ya animal
yenye inatolewa kwa cream ya ng'ombe.
Yeah.
Ya maziwa ya ng'ombe.
Kuna hiyo cream ya ng'ombe,
Yeah.
kuna the nini.
Okay, right now, things keep changing. But let me just mention from the proven guidelines. The main challenge we have with oils and fats, it's actually a group of nutrients. We have 7 main food groups, and oils and fats is one of the key ones as a main source of energy. Now, we have 2 main food groups that give us energy, the oils and the carbohydrates. Now, when you talk of these 2 foods, carbohydrates is where we have a challenge of processed foods. Now, when it comes to fats and oils, we have in categories that we say they are good and they are bad. So when you talk of fats, it's what we have been warned. Musikule fat. Ile ina solidify in the room temperature, right? So I think that's when you came in and started using now the oil.
Yeah.
And that's now where we have a problem in seed oil and non-seed oil. Let me say the same. Now, I must mention the research is still ongoing on seed oils thing, but the worst kind of oils or fat within the oils and fats food group is what we call the trans fats. Trans fats is what we call hydrogenated. Okay, during its processing, it's not, it loses something and gains something that is harmful to our health. And this found mostly in the spreads. When I talk of spreads, I talk of margarines. I don't know whether I'm allowed to mention the brands, but those ready-to-eat fats. We just spread on our food and we eat.
Mkate.
Yeah, we don't necessarily need to cook them. Okay?
So hiyo mkate ni mbaya. Hiyo napaka ni
Sijasema mkate ni mbaya. Nilisema we need to do what we call moderation.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh.
And I must say also what we have there is a challenge right now is what we call nutrition insecurity. Nutrition insecurity. Now, where even the processing farms are saying this is whole meal bread, but it isn't. They just process it, add some color, and we think we are now eating a whole meal something. So I think that's where regulation needs to be tightened so that whatever we are eating is actually what we wanted. So however we are saying seed oils are good or bad, I don't know whether they should be good or bad according to what you told me, but we need to be very sure that if we can't have regulation which go to this company and tell them, you are telling us you are producing sunflower oil, tuonyeshe your sunflower na uhakikisha unatumia nini your sunflower. Kama ni maize na wanataka kutoa oil ya maize, ihakikishiwe kwa within their standards they're actually doing that, because niliambiwa hii oil yote inatoka one container. You go to the ports and ask them how they receive in the ports. They receive in a crude form. Zinaletwa in crude oil, what we call crude oil, then they come to the country. So my company I take my crude oil, naenda tu niongeze kitu na niweke my brand name. but they all come from the same source in one container as crude oil. So we need to just be sure that whatever we are being told we are consuming that is it. But when it comes to oils, I will not say seed oils are good or bad, but the ones we need to take caution over, which are implicated in our hearts and hypertension development, heart condition and hypertension, and even other diseases within that category, what we call the non-communicable diseases, are the trans fats. Those are hydrogenated and they are not really safe for us. Then when it comes to other seed oils and others, if the companies producing them are honest, then they are good. They should be good for our heart. But we are not sure anymore on what we are eating. It's somewhere that we need to, maybe in your future discussion, bring in an expert from GEBS. We are from Kenya, and an expert from any food industry, and let's talk it out together and make sure we are giving out what we have promised to give to our consumers.
Yeah.
Asante.
Sasa daktari, we should let you go. We appreciate so much. I don't believe this is
One more thing before we allow you to go. Sorry. So, but like you've mentioned something about the foods we take, especially the fats and oils, in relation to hypertension and other conditions. Now we have people who are caregivers for people who unfortunately have already developed these conditions. And usually there is that indication on dietary restrictions and all that. Yeah. What kind of advice would you give generally, or however specific you can be? Like how can they wachunge aje your diet so that either the condition does not progress beyond the current state, ama pia ile atuja prevent. That's the one.
Yeah, whenever we now get sick, that's when we actually come in to do what we call dietary modification to fit that condition. So what we do is that whenever we are doing nutrition education and even choosing food for that patient, now they are patients now, we bring in the caregivers and we teach them on what to change. And watu wengi wametuita sisi watu tunanyima chakula. Wanasema, nutritionist amefika kuninyima chakula. But for real, if you sit down with a serious nutritionist, atakueleza anakunyima hii lakini kuna ingine atakupatia. So we bring in the caregiver. We normally do sessions with the primary caregiver, especially yule mtu anaenda kushop na kupika. Tunawaeleza what to give this person, how to even cook them, and even how to shop in the market. We can even recommend where to shop, depending on what we have experienced in terms of wholesomeness and availability of that food. So we sit together with the caregiver and we advise. In fact, we have even gone to an extent that if the caregiver is above, I have gone to an extent that if the caregiver is above 40 years, and these people wako tu hapo wanachunga mtu mgonjwa, unaona wao wameanza pia kukua na excess weight. These are indicative of those diseases I've mentioned. So tumefika next and whereby if they are able to even adjust to that food modification ile tumesema, akule na huyo patient, ndio hata akuwe na hiyo motivation. Like if a husband is sick, we ask the wife, because hakuna difference sana kwa age yao, tunaambia wife, sasa huyu hafai kukunywa sukari. Huyu mama hajaambiwa hafai kukunywa sukari, but we tell them hata wewe unaweza kunywa bila sukari na yeye. It gives them motivation and it also puts them at the point of getting into healthy living,
Yeah. Okay. So in many conversations, especially our age, tunasikianga sana a lot of complaining about our school experience, both in terms of meals, in terms of exercise, PE. Most of us are always saying either we were overworked in terms of PE and then we were underfed in terms of food. Do we have valid reason to be complaining in that manner when you consider the Kenyan system of either nutrition for schools and also physical exercise in schools? I might also need to speak to the psychological aspect in terms of well-being for children in school. So we can start with you, Daktari, and then in terms of physical exercise.
Okay, thank you so much. Interesting question. As I had mentioned in the beginning, we have nutrient needs for different age groups. The school-going kids fall within a given age group, which have some recommendation. From way back down there in pre-primary school, there are specific nutrient needs. And even right now when we are taking kids at 3 years, these kids should feed 4 times. And I think That's now where we may mess up because when they come back home, whatever snacks we give may not be healthy. Now, when we go now to school, let me talk of now the high school or the boarding school. I not talk about the school feeding program in public schools. It's something that is still being implemented in some areas. But even while we are doing the school feeding program, we have a school health policy within the public health that stipulates on how kids should be fed in a small part on the nutrition. But we must be very keen. We have a reason to be mad and angry because boys need a lot of energy at that age. They're adolescents. But now we are still feeding the portion ile 10-year-old and others, So they are not getting adequate energy. An angry man is an angry man. It applies. So probably the portion we are feeding, especially the boys, may not be adequate in terms of their energy needs. So we need to look at the portion in terms of the nutrient needs of per gender, per males or females, and meet them. Like for boys, you need to increase the energy, whether through the carbohydrates, the wholesome, more maize. I know it's githeri.
No.
More maize, which is well cooked, cooked with good oil. Okay, that is now where they get enough energy. Give them portion of ugali that is adequate. It's true, these boys need it. So kama unapimia ugali kijana na ni boys school na unakata ugali kama ya girls school, we are really not doing justice to them. There is a need to look into that because their energy needs are very high. The same thing to girls. Their iron needs are very high. But unapata shule hakuna siku hata wanaserve hiyo nyama, which is a very good source of iron. We are also doing them injustice because they become anemic. Someone who is anemic, hata ukimfukuza na kiboko akimbie darasani hawezi kimbia na nguvu vile unatarajia kama mwalimu. Akifika darasani pia hana hiyo energy ya kuconcentrate in class. So there are very key nutrients that I'm sure nutritionists work with the government or with schools, or they should if they are not, so that they prepare a school meal plan to meet the needs of the children within their environment who are in that school, depending on their needs. So I think, yes, it's true. We need to really sit down. And it's not expensive. When you go and advise someone, they want to bake bread in the morning. But you can bake that bread, but you can also boil sweet potatoes. I know it's cumbersome, but for smaller schools, they can adopt options to meet those needs. We can even think of meat. Even if you offer 2 pieces of meat, even 3 times a week, it is still something good and it will keep them happy. And they are not even happy because you gave them meat. They're happy because their nutrient needs are being met and their body is responding depending on what you have given them. Hata hizo strikes zitaisha. Shibisha huyo mtoto na utaona ametulia, amesoma. When you are not nutritionally fit, you become aggressive. You just become someone who cannot be controlled. Same thing to even, we have in our schools kids who are drug abusers. The worst that we do to them is we want to just punish them, we beat them up, we send them to some police. We even call the police to beat them up in school. But now do you know why they are even so bad, so aggressive? Because apart from the fact that they have the influence of drug in their system, paka tumemnyima chakula as part of punishment. How worse can we treat them? Huyu ni adolescent. Initially, we need to give a double portion. Ameongeza bangi, it makes them even more hungry. Lakini tumenyima nini? Chakula. So food can actually solve most of the problems. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe a question in the same. High school, you guys are nutritionists. Ushaisikia high school imeemploy a nutritionist kama caterers?
Rarely do we do so. And I must mention, for one to be a nutritionist, many people claim to be nutritionists, especially in the social media. For one to be a nutritionist, someone has to be trained. In Kenya, you need to be trained for maybe 1 year for a certificate, or I think 2 years, and 3 years for a diploma. You need to be trained for 4 years for a degree, and you can do masters and even PhD. After doing that, you need to do an internship, and you need to be licensed. You need to be licensed. You get to be reviewed every now and then that you are even moving with the current trends by by that license being renewed every now and then. So no, every Tom, Dick and Harry cannot just say me a nutritionist. So yeah, the schools may not be working with a nutritionist for the reasons best known to them, but when we do awareness like this, there will be a paradigm shift, because they can just get a nutritionist to just advise them on what to give to the kids. Here 2 once, and then they keep on reviewing depending also on the budgetary allocation within that school. Lakini unapata pesa iko, lakini budget imeallocatiwa vitu zingine, lakini budget ya chakula imefinywa. Jani wananunua vitu, yani maybe hata vitu zenye they can do without. Then we miss the basic need, which is food. So we need to even look at the budgets. We need to allocate enough money to the food in schools. Thank you.
But I think now, as I was seeing in the news, plus saizi kuna food programs huku nje. I think that's an opportunity for you guys.
Very big opportunity.
Ingia hapo na come up na hizo meal plans
Kabisa.
and everything.
In fact, the issue hata ya chapati ya shule, we need to look into it. Can we bring chapati and something else? We can have a chapati and something else kuliko chapati mbili, you know. So we need to look at the cost of chapati mbili. We can slash into 2 na tuweke other nutrients. We can even bring in a boiled egg. Do you know these kids don't even eat eggs? Mayai nyumbani, kuku akibahatisha kutaga yai, tunakiliza, tunauza na tunanunua mandazi mbili. You know, so we don't give them adequate proteins. We need to look at that. It's an opportunity for us to streamline things. Thank you.
Now, for the physical activity back in school,
Yes.
I think everyone can relate. Likuwa ikifika games ama PE, in your mind already it's something a very unpleasant feeling. So already you're not psyched to go there. So I was looking at some of the countries when you wako na lifespan largest. Japan is the best, and it's because of their nutritional policies. Wawaleka policies. Now for them, like for nutrition, every school has a nutritionist. Every school.
Amazing.
The food they feed are all fresh.
Wow.
And nutritionist ndo ana sign off on every meal. Hata kama ni snack ukula apple, zima sign off on that. Now for the physical activity, the students, the pupils are very engaged. Not because haijafanywa like it's a chore or it's something that has to be done. It's more of a fun activity that you do together. So unapata simple things like for the young kids, wanaambia msaidiane kupanga the classroom before you leave. So they take their toys, they put there, they get their exercises in there. They play on their own. Yeah. They walk to school. Yeah. Like Japan wameka policies that kwenda kwa shule like kuna pathway ya watoto kutembea. They walk to school. Wacha yenye unaamsha mtoto 5:30.
And the van.
A 5-year-old 5:30.
Kusha ndani ya gara.
Even though sieka alarm anymore. Nasikia tu basi ya shule imekuja napiga very disturbing horn. Mtoto ukimwona padio bus haiko happy. And they stipulate time for sleep as well. So for physical activity in schools, for us we need some serious policy change. Schools in itself wanna like a coach. Like I'm sure you've watched movies. Unaangalia these high school movies. There's a dedicated coach, 1 or 2 when you are hapo. They know they have classes and they have schedules. And they push people. They make teams. Alafu they make the entire thing a fun activity. And they take sports very seriously. Yeah. For the NBAs, wanaanza ku scout from uko chini.
Yeah.
So when someone is good enough at something, inakuwa hivyo. So when someone is doing, si lazima you become as good as him, but because your friend is good as him, unapata, you hang out with your friend, unapata umeenda kucheza basketball naye, unapata umeenda kucheza hockey naye, for fun, but you get the exercise in itself. So it's all a policy thing, and I'm sorry, our teachers pia, they do not know better then, but as time changes, a lot of things are changing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's something that can be done.
Okay, I must mention, we have projects even here within our county, which are encouraging the same. They are even appointing teachers. We call them health teachers in schools. So hopefully, it's something we can adopt as even a country. Because these are international organizations doing their thing as part of their activities. Hopefully, we can adopt this and have those teachers who are our best guys in school to champion such health matters.
But of late, I'm very happy with the culture that is coming up.
Yeah.
Kuna culture step up. You find 3, 5, 10 friends. Unaweka up, kila mtu akona watch. If you don't have a watch, your phone is good enough. And then unapata Gladwell leo alienda 10,000 steps, mi niko 4,000, kesho najiskuma, unaona. Things like that imesaidia sana. We are having even older guys saizi wanatembea, even when they are busy wanatafuta time in the weekend. A Saturday morning unapata walishaamka 5, washatembea, washakimbia. So things are not as bad as they were kitambo, but small to push to kidogo.
True.
Yeah.
Now, on the psychological side, Daktari has mentioned about substance use, and of course, my antenna was just up. So there are many pressures in school that kids are subjected to. And now, apart from general attitudes towards treating them well and feeding them well, and maybe introducing aspects of health in a way that it can be received positively, there are the pressure of academics, the pressure of maybe dealing with even just that developmental stage, peer pressure. You look around and you're comparing yourself with your friends, how they look, how they act, and all that. So all these pressures come together, and sometimes as a way of coping, that's where now the substance use comes in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we are losing many of our young people to that. Losing not in the sense that like they're not there, but like substance use tends to interfere with a lot in terms of life. You find that someone is not able to now, they weren't performing well initially, now it's gone way worse than that. Or also it adds other behavioral changes, other challenges, even health-wise, that end up being introduced by that substance use. So it's very good to keep in check the underlying factor. Sometimes we are only addressing this person is taking a substance and you want to punish them, chase them away from school. But can you look beyond the behavior and look at the underlying issue? Ni nini imempusha hadi amefika hapo? And I really, it's normally very hurtful to find that someone has been sent home for counseling. And now when we are doing the session with this young person, mostly our teens, talking to them, the problem we are dealing with is not even the substance use anymore. Now we are dealing with abuse, we are dealing with even illness. So they're using the substance to cope with the fact that they're dealing with maybe a terminal illness or a terminal illness of a caregiver at home. So all that stress coming together, wamepata the quickest way to fix it is to just use a substance, not because they want to, but because they don't have other coping mechanisms that they know. So when they're coming in for help, they are actually seeking coping mechanisms. So it's very good to keep in check the underlying factors so that we don't just deal with things on the surface level and keep supporting our children. Where possible, prevent these issues from being present. And then when they are present, let's help them deal before they go for other unhealthy mechanisms. So I think that's just finding that balance across the system. Like they said, still policies and also how we set up our systems for education. One day when you talk about education, you'll talk a lot more about that. Yeah. Over to you, John.
So thank you very much. That has been part 1. We have to wrap it up there because of time. It's unfortunate. Daktaris bado wako kazi na they have to go back. So if you have questions, please ziache hapo chini. We'll get back to those questions. You will leave contacts of all our professionals here so that you can reach out to them personally in case of you need further consultations or assistance. We'll leave their descriptions and their details hapo chini. Otherwise, tumeshukuru sana on behalf of the podcast. Tumeshukuru sana for you guys coming on board, and we hope this is the first of many. Yeah.
Asante sana.
Yeah, maybe a parting shot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. I must mention that Nutritionist is available where you are. Don't do blanket management in terms of nutrition. Useme ule alikula Panadol akapona, wacha hata mimi nikule. Nenda ukaelezewe mambo na chakula kulingana na needs zako kila mara. And knowing is one thing, but practicing is another. I know knowledge is out there. Practice what you have learned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me today. I think just getting enlightenment in all aspects, and for psychological support, I think it's very important to seek help, like we always say, and most importantly, in the hands of a professional who can support you to, that continuity of care is very important. And then 2 is be willing to reach out when there's an issue or even way before there's an issue so that we prevent some of these things from affecting us when we can't prevent them. So we really appreciate just how things are going in terms of awareness, and we do hope to do a lot more so that we can support each of us to just be in general well-being. Because fortunately, or I don't know, usually for mental health, if you can tell, we are somewhere hapo katikati and all these things are coming to us. So basically, it's not an entity on its own. When you talk about mental health, you're talking about your physical, your emotional, your psychological, your physical health. So when all these things are not in balance, now we have the distress that we talk about and end up in the hands maybe of, other care and management that you could have avoided. So it's very important to keep everything in check so that our well-being is generally just okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, first, thank you for having me on my first podcast. It's not as bad as I thought.
It's a privilege. Si nilikwambia maneno ni rahisi.
Nice. First, the panel itself ilikuwa mwenye alikama up with it did a very good job, because the topic we had ilikuwa inahitaji all three of us. Ingekuwa ngumu sana tackle everything at the same time. I'm happy to be here. For physio, someone asked me a while back if mtu anaweza kuja tu kwa physio by themselves. And the answer is yes. Nowadays, healthcare may change. Sika kitambo. Si lazima uende kwa daktari alafu daktari akwambia enda physio. Nowadays, it's more of a partnership thing. When a person come, all these other entities, all these other professionals, we work together, we are partnering together. To make sure uko sawa. So when you come and you feel you don't have to go to the doctor, just come to the physio direct, go to the nutritionist, kuja hapa kwa psychology. All this in a giving to that, and we are happy we're in a age and all that is accessible. During my time nikiwa shule, in fact vile niliitiwa physiotherapy, I did not know what physiotherapy is. So my shosh being a nurse, ilienda sasa ikabidi anikalishe chini anexplainie mpaka niambie ni nani then, but it's a very good profession. I'm very happy at it, and I'm happy how everything is coming up nicely. Amazing. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I think that's it. We have to leave. Yeah. It's very urgent. Asanteni sana.
Asante.
See you guys for the part 2. You can leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Asante. Thank you.
Bye.